welcome. Good evening. You're watching World Today here on India Today. I'm Akshata Nandagopal. I'm joining you live from Florida, where I've been tracking the AX-4 space mission. But over the next 30 minutes, we're getting you all the big international headlines of the day. And our focus, of course, remains on the anti-ICE protests that have gripped different parts of America. The protests against the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which has led to violence in Los Angeles. Big breaking news that's coming in on that story. Let's begin with that. Now, America has announced that criminal charges are being slapped against two of the accused. According to the statement that's come in from a top attorney in America, they've confirmed that these two accused have been allegedly throwing stones, explosives, assaulting agents and committing other acts of violence, which is why they've been slapped with criminal charges. Remember, hundreds of people have been taken into custody in Los Angeles. There was a curfew that was imposed last night as well in downtown LA. There are hundreds who've been arrested. Several of them now face criminal charges, just indicating to you the kind of action that could be taken. The crackdown against some of these protesters who have been arrested that they face now. There could be criminal charges slapped against many more.
This morning, we are announcing that we have filed federal criminal complaints against two defendants who engaged in violence during the recent civil unrest in downtown Los Angeles and in Paramount. Throwing rocks, explosives, assaulting agents, and committing other acts of violence are extremely dangerous and will not be tolerated.
And let's get you details on what's been happening in different cities of America. It's no longer just Los Angeles. It's spread to other cities as well, where there have been protests. Chicago, Austin in Texas, Houston. These are just a few that have also been seeing these anti-ICE protests. But the focus remains on Los Angeles, where, remember, Donald Trump announced unprecedented deployment of forces on the ground to control and quell these protests. It did take a rather ugly and aggressive turn, with violence breaking out of the streets of Los Angeles. There was a curfew imposed last night. It's been lifted through the day. But in the night, downtown Los Angeles completely shut down. A result of that is that after weeks, you saw finally the first night of relevant peace when compared to what's been happening in the last few days. But what exactly has led to these protests? What's the current situation in different cities across America? Here's a detailed report.
The United States of America on the edge. Protests against raids by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, are spreading. The Los Angeles, the epicenter of protest, saw a curfew clamped in riot-hit areas on Tuesday night.
If you do not live or work in downtown LA, avoid the area. Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew, and you will be prosecuted. Hundreds of officers from police and sheriff departments from across the region and state are working alongside LAPD through a unified command structure.
National Guard troops deployed by the Donald Trump administration are accompanying ICE agents rounding up alleged illegal immigrants. Over 700 Marines are likely to join the already deployed 5,000 National Guard troops on Wednesday. What started as a simmering protest over immigration has now grown into widespread chaos. From Los Angeles to Chicago, Atlanta and beyond, the unrest is spreading. In Los Angeles, rioters unleashed their fury on an Apple store, smashing glass and looting iPhones. Far from the West Coast, Atlanta faces its own crisis. There, protesters clashed fiercely with police by jumping on patrol vehicles and even throwing explosives at officers. In Seattle, protesters burned and tore down American flags. Police responded by clashing with the rioters. The US President in a speech at Fort Bragg on Tuesday defended deployment of federal troops and vowed to liberate Los Angeles from gangs and criminals.
A very simple rule of engagement. If they're dangerous, if they're throwing concrete or bricks, if they're spitting in the face of the police or whoever's in front of them, if they're punching people, if they're doing all of the things that you see done for the last 3 nights, that I would say is engagement. We need to keep our city straight. I want to save Los Angeles. And Newsom is totally incompetent. He's not going to do it. Look at the fires he had.
The state of California has moved courts to block deployment of federal troops. California Governor Gavin Newsom, in a televised speech, lashed out at President Trump.
The situation was winding down and was concentrated in just a few square blocks downtown. But that's not what Donald Trump wanted. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety.
As protests rage and political tensions flare up, the American people are left wondering, what comes next? With Pranay Upadhyay, Bureau Report, India Today.
So there's been unprecedented deployment of security. The National Guard troops were called in. Marines were deployed in Los Angeles. 4,000 National Guard troops, 700 Marines on the ground to quell these protests. There's been quite a bit of controversy over that, questions being asked of the Trump administration. Let's get you details of what U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said to senators when asked about this deployment. He's deemed it lawful and completely constitutional. Listen.
We very much support President Trump's focus on defending the homeland on our southern border, as well as supporting law enforcement officials doing their job in ICE in Los Angeles who deserve not to be assaulted, accosted, and rioted while rounding up one of the 21 million illegals allowed in as an invasion under the previous administration.
Are you prepared to authorize DHS to use drones and also to authorize military forces to detain or arrest American citizens?
Senator, every authorization we've provided the National Guard and the Marines in Los Angeles is under the authority of the President of the United States, is lawful and constitutional. They are assisting in defending law enforcement officers and law enforcement facilities.
So the answer is yes.
In the execution of their job.
The answer is yes.
In the city of Los Angeles.
So what's prompted this kind of unprecedented protests is that many of the protesters believe what we're seeing is an unfair crackdown, an uncalled for crackdown on people living in America. One of those who is now, in fact, left America, is an influencer. I'm sure you've seen his reels on social media as well. One of the most popular TikTokers, Khaby Lame. He's also, in fact, faced fire because of the fact that he is someone who was detained by immigration agents in Las Vegas for allegedly overstaying his visa. That's the allegation against him. He's left America. While he was detained, he was allowed to leave the country without a deportation order. Khaby Lame has millions of followers. I'm sure you've also seen many of his reels on social media. He's very popular on Instagram as well. He is a Senegalese Italian influencer. He was at the airport when he was detained, but without a deportation order, he was allowed to leave the country peacefully. So he is one of the many people who have faced this kind of a crackdown, but at least in his case, it was more dignified because there was no deportation order that was slapped against him. So we'll continue tracking the latest updates that come in on the anti-ICE protests. This clearly is just the beginning. We've been seeing this spread now across different cities of America. But let's get you also a quick update in our next report of what's been happening between US President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The once BFFs we saw, of course, had resorted to a very public war of words and a spat on social media. Since then, have things changed? Relatively, because you had Elon Musk going and taking to X to say that he does regret what he said and said that he did perhaps go a little too far. Didn't say sorry, but I said he's expressed his regret essentially for the words he used against Donald Trump. And this came right after Trump made it clear that the outreach must come from Musk if there is ever going to be any sort of patch-up. So where do things stand? Are we going to see them return to becoming BFFs? Our next report tells you more.
Elon Musk regrets. Like his anger and disapprovements, his regret is also expressed on social media. After raining sarcasm and allegations, Elon Musk on Tuesday posted on X his regret for his public feud with the US President Donald Trump. He said, and I quote, "I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far," unquote. The Tesla CEO and the POTUS engaged in a public fight over TV interviews and X post after Elon Musk left his role in the government and criticized the Republican Party's new tax bill proposal. The bill was dubbed as Big Beautiful by the president, as Elon Musk kept tweeting his criticism and sarcasm and even threatened with the launch of a new political party. Donald Trump also rolled up his sleeve and threatened to pull the plug.
Would you consider reopening investigations into his companies? There are a bunch of investigations.
I didn't know that they had any. They had them. I would just let them speak for themselves. I had no idea. Excuse me. I have no idea whether or not they had investigations.
What's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all?
Honestly, I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many that I'm not thinking about Elon.
The most ominous post by the world's richest man alleged that Donald Trump is on the infamous Jeffrey Epstein files and implied that this is why the government is not releasing the documents to the public. That was on 7th of June. He deleted it later. And then on 10th of June, Donald Trump indicated that he expects a call from his former trusted aide and friend.
I haven't really thought about it, actually. I would imagine he wants to speak to me. I would think that. If I were him, I'd want to speak to me, and maybe he's already called. You'd have to ask him whether or not he's already called. But I'd have no problem with it.
In an interview for a podcast, Donald Trump even indicated that he was willing to forgive Elon Musk.
To forgive him? Could you see that happening?
Look, I have no hard feelings for it. I was really surprised that happened. He went after a bill that's phenomenal. It's the best thing we've ever signed in this country. And that's phase one. Phase two, phase three, all of a sudden is, it all comes together. It's coming together so well. And when he did that, I was not a happy camper. So it's too bad.
Hours later, Musk posted his regretting post on X. What forced Elon Musk to blink in his business interest? Right after 7th of June public duel, $152 billion was erased. In the first half of 2025, Musk has lost $380 billion of market capital. His global market value ranking degraded from 8th to 10th position. Tesla stocks plunged by 14% in a single day. Overall, Tesla stocks dropped by 29.3%, which translates to a whopping $917 billion. And Elon Musk's net worth is down by $9 billion. But can this situation shift between the two most rich and powerful people turn the clock back to heydays of bromance once again? Or is this a temporary truce between partners with benefits? Bureau Report, India Today.